Next, we're going to talk about hypothesis testing. We'll talk about the goals and reasons for using hypothesis testing, the p-value and how we use the p-value to make conclusions, the different risks associated with hypothesis testing, alpha and beta risks, and the different types of tests that we will be using and why we use those specific tests. So what is hypothesis testing? Well, we're trying to use statistics to validate the root causes for the problem or improvements that we've made. Hypothesis testing is often paralleled with conducting a trial in the court of law, meaning that we always assume that there is no change, just like a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. What we're trying to do is prove beyond a reasonable doubt that something is so statistically unlikely that it could not have happened by chance. A hypothesis itself is a statement that you are trying to prove using statistics. We can use different parameters to test the hypotheses. There are two hypotheses in hypothesis testing. The null hypothesis, which is referred to as the hypothesis of no difference. This is what everything will be based on. The alternative hypothesis is the other hypothesis. So between the two, between the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis, all possibilities must be covered. Again, we'll decide on which parameter, which statistical parameter we want to compare, and we need to understand what type of data we're using in order to choose the correct test. There are 4 steps in hypothesis testing. The first step is to write the null and alternative hypothesis. I strongly suggest that you write them both in words and in mathematical formulas. It will help you later on. Next, we set the alpha level. In most industries, our alpha level is set at 0.05. The confidence level is 1 minus the alpha level. What that means is if we have a 0.05 alpha level, 1 minus that is 95%. We would be 95% confident in the statement or conclusion that we draw. With hypothesis testing, you can never be 100%. There is always risk of being wrong. In the table at the bottom of the slide, you can see the 2 types of error, type 1 or alpha error versus type 2 or beta error. The next 2 steps of hypothesis testing is to calculate a p-value. There are tables that allow us to do this, but there are also computers that allow us to do this much easier. We then compare that p-value with our alpha value. If p is less than alpha, then we reject the null hypothesis. If p is greater than alpha, we fail to reject the null hypothesis, but we never accept the null hypothesis because we are never 100% sure.